Skull and Bones fucking sucks. In a year where Redfall, Gollum and the day before have already left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, with the latter selling over 200,000 copies while being an obvious scam from the second the trailer dropped, Ubisoft unironically decided to waddle their way into the gaming sphere and said,
"Watch this."
This game that was allegedly first planned to be DLC for Assassin's Creed Black Flag, a game released in 2013, has been stuck in development hell for almost a decade now. I was lucky enough to get access to the 6-hour closed beta and an invitation for 2 friends of my choosing. Only one was actually gullible enough to try this game with me, and he bailed out after 2 hours, and I couldn't even make it through the 6 that Ubisoft provided. Why? Because Skull and Bones is a travesty. This game is the answer to the question, what if we took Black Flag, removed 80% of the game, turned some of the most fun parts of the game into cutscenes, add loading screens everywhere, and suck every ounce of fun from that game. And I replayed that game at the beginning of this year and I didn't even like it, and yet this is so much worse. Skull and Bones has been in production for longer than Red Dead Redemption 2, worked on by 10 different studios. It already has a pretty solid base for its gameplay elements, and yet it is one of the most boring, lifeless, and shallow experiences ever created. The gameplay revolves around you captaining your ship, sinking other ships so you can loot them, which gives you resources to upgrade your ship so that you can be more efficient at sinking other ships. For the first hour, the game was hilariously bad, and I kind of loved it because of how bad it was. Seeing the message "out of bounds" turn back to the battlefield in a tutorial where you automatically lose after a few minutes was endlessly funny to me. So was seeing a cutscene where I can already see the face, hair, skin color, and physique of my pirate, but only after that cutscene being able to customize their appearance. Being able to change body type in a character creator that doesn't actually show me my body, finding this dying man where the only option is farewell.
Окей.
Не можем го само взeti. Свинки je jesen dan, как greš lahko z mano, but I can save you. Nope, ne moram token z njim več.
On si že odločil, da je umrl.
Ja se odločil, in to je ta otok, nice, okay.
That way.
Everything about it was screaming so bad it's good. I actually had hope that the game was at least going to be fun, even if that meant that it was so bad and glitchy that that's what would make it fun. Just fun enough in any way where me and my friend would dick around for 6 hours straight and laugh and have a good time. But within an hour and a half, the game just nosedives off a cliff. Within minutes of getting your first actual ship, you will start to understand that the only actual gameplay in this game is going to a place to destroy or board a ship, loot it for its resources, come back to port with said resources and make a stronger ship, just so you can have an easier time acquiring resources and destroying ships. That's it. 10 years of development for this. A poor man's Assassin's Creed Black Flag. If you're lucky, boarding a ship instead of downright destroying it might give you some more resources, some of which look like actual poo, but all of this is done in a cutscene. No more boarding enemy ships and swashbuckling and pistol shooting your way through. Just a cutscene. Now granted, the choices when actually building your ship are quite robust. You have a good variety of different weapons, armors, and cosmetics, and I love that you can place different weapons on different sides of your ship. But when I know everything I am doing in this game are fetch quests where 99% of the gameplay will revolve around loading screens and waiting to actually get to the part where I have a modicum of fun, I lose interest within just a few hours. Seriously, right after the 2-hour mark when my friend decided to ditch, I got bombarded with like 30 quests all revolving around getting loot and bringing it to a place, or destroying a ship which in turn would reward me with more resources to upgrade my ship. There's no hand-to-hand combat in this game, there's no parkour or interesting locations to explore. You and your friends can't be on the same ship because you can't actually walk around your ship, you can only captain it. For this beta, PvP was either turned off or perhaps it won't even be in the game, so I can't even tell you how that works. This is all there is to the game. You walk to a merchant, you buy upgrades, you go to your ship, loot a different ship so you get the resources required to upgrade your ship, rinse and repeat. 10 years. Scattered throughout the world are things like coconuts, shipwrecks, and various resources for which you have to have a strong enough tool to collect them. If you don't, you need to be a high enough level for a blueprint that can either be found or bought. If you aren't a high enough level, go sink some ships until you're a high enough level. Then, go in a straight line for several minutes, probably wait in a 40-second long loading screen, arrive at a merchant that sells the blueprint you want, wait another 20 seconds in a loading screen, buy the blueprint, go to a place where you can actually buy the upgrade and put it on your ship, and now you can do this. Doing this will net you resources that will help you upgrade your ship so you can have an easier time getting resources that upgrade your ship. Overleveled enemy ships are something that you probably won't stand a chance against alone, because the only way of winning is depleting the enemy's HP before they deplete yours. I can't snipe the captain with a well-placed shot, I can't aim for the ship's cannons, disabling them or destroy its mast, essentially turning it into an immovable object. I can't aim really low where the hull meets the sea to try and make the ship sink, maybe diverting a good chunk of its crew to try and repair it. My only choice is to deplete its HP, and hitting the red parts means I crit the ship for more damage. 10 years. Even if you die for a small cost, you can just respawn right where you died with slightly less HP, the ship you were attacking still being there with all the damage you've done to it. So you can just keep respawning and looting your remains, and if you pick your battles well, still arrive out of the battle with more silver than what you started with, even if you died multiple times. This means there are literally no stakes in this game. You don't have to pick and choose your battles and sweat every time you go into battle so that you don't lose your ship that you spent the last dozen hours upgrading, or even any of the cargo aboard it. Boarding a ship doesn't net you with its crew, you can't disassemble the ship and use its parts to fix your own ship, you can't ransom the crew for money like how pirates did, or heaven forbid capture the ship for yourself like how pirates did. You can't even build your own fleet out of ships you captured that you can send on expeditions to steal and plunder and loot for you. You know, like how pirates did that? Nope, you can only loot the resources that you can now spend on upgrading your ship. Exploring the world, you will find the most bare bones, lifeless and dull locations I have seen in a while. Exploring anything behind the few shops that you need in the main hub leads to locations where everyone just sits there doing nothing.
Lots of new faces lately. It's hard to tell who is a friend. What are you? Friend?
There are invisible walls where the devs couldn't even be fucked to copy and paste a few barrels that are right there to fill the gap. It is horrible. On random islands you will find a few traders, gossip girls that you can bribe for some information that you can check out, or come across pirate bonfires, which, if you throw some magic powder into, turn green and give your crew a stamina boost. The tutorial tells you that the stamina boost for your crew will last 30 minutes, but after you throw the powder into the bonfire, the game tells you the boost will last for 20 minutes. Which of these is correct? Don't know, don't care, but it's probably neither. 10 years. Speaking of stamina, your ship now has stamina for some reason. If you want to put it into overdrive mode, you can only do so for like a minute, then you have to wait for the stamina to recharge. My intuition is telling me this is going to play a huge role in PvP despite the ship slowing down when you aim your cannons and starting to recharge stamina on its own. But since the PvP was non-existent in this beta, I can only tell you that this mechanic makes no sense. It turns the slow and boring exploration where you just sail in a straight line into an even slower and more boring part of the game than what it could have been. The game has many glitches in it, weather changes on a dime, enemy ships spawn right in front of you or turn into land and get stuck there. Certain textures can't decide whether they want to exist or not. The shop is telling me I don't have enough coins for something when I clearly do have enough coins. My suspicion is that this is a completely different currency that Ubisoft hasn't implemented into the game yet, that will help them with their usual microtransaction bullshit, despite the icons being the same. The closest resources that you have to loot for one of your first missions just aren't there. I thought this was only because someone before me and my friend collected them, but anytime I returned to them, they weren't there. This led to us just being bewildered at what you even have to do to collect them, wasting minutes of our time. This is the tutorial message.
This is the tutorial message. What? Hello?
A boring successful message that never leaves your screen and completely obliterates the UI to where I have no compass, no idea of how fast or slow I'm going, no press F to talk to a person, nothing. The crew boarding mechanic will sometimes go through the ship, other times it will clearly hit the ship but disappear, other times you'll hit one hook and that's going to be enough. I don't understand how you can fuck up sea shanties, but my god, Ubisoft managed to fuck up sea shanties? You can literally be traveling the open seas for minutes on end at full speed without seeing anything and they won't start singing, and then right as you engage in combat, your crew starts singing just for them to immediately stop because you're in combat now.
The wind is ours! Did you ever cross Rafa?
Black Flag 10 years ago did this better, however luckily my friends knew how to fix this.
Guarantee will take our leaves and go.
In a game where most of the gameplay already consists of you waiting to get from point A to point B, sometimes this taking literally dozens of minutes, somehow the game manages to make you sit there and wait even when you're doing the things it wants you to be doing, raiding outposts. You sit there and wait for a ship to appear for literally minutes so that you can destroy it, just for you to wait some more for more ships to appear to destroy them. 10 years. And as a last fuck you from Ubisoft to us, this game is always online. Even if I somehow loved this game and its boring loop of fetch quests that give me a stronger ship so I can be more effective when doing fetch quests, the nail in the coffin for me is Ubisoft's decision to make this game an always online experience. It can clearly be played single player. I barely saw or interacted with any people in this beta. Why should this be a deal breaker for everyone? Because Ubisoft has just decided to shut down the servers of the crew after 10 years of them being online. But since the game is always online, that means that people who bought the game and invested money into it won't be able to play it at all after the servers shut down, despite it being marketed as a single-player game.
So one of the things about it too is there's been some people who looked into the code for the crew and found out that offline mode is in the game, but it's hidden disabled for us normal players. Using a hex editor, you can go through the crew.exe and find references to a requested offline mode and local save data functionality. You can see that it even has a press X to play offline, meaning that in some way, Ubisoft has also thought of this, but they're not making this game offline only. A company as large as Ubisoft can easily afford to make this game offline only. Introduce a patch for the people that have this game on the Xbox, the PlayStation, the PC, finally get to keep their purchase well after Ubisoft stops giving a shit about it. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not just this game that I'm worried about. It's like the future of the industry.
So when Skull and Bones inevitably in the next 5 years proves to be a deficit for Ubisoft, just know they will take it away from you, even if you enjoy it, and there will be nothing you can do about it. This game would have been a good $10 to $15 DLC in the year 2013 if they just added the ships and ship customization aspects to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. But as a $60 or $90 game in 2024 that has had 10 years of development time, 10 studios working on it, and with probably infinite resources being thrown at it, it unironically provides less than No Man's Sky provided at launch. And that is a game made by like a dozen people in a small independent indie studio. At least you could go from planet to planet without a loading screen in that game. You can't even go from your ship to a small town in this game without a 40-second loading screen. Let that sink in. 10 fucking years for this. For a more tedious, slightly more complex, and way less fun part of a game that came out a decade ago. Only this time, it's always online, so you don't even really own it. Thanks, Ubisoft.